You're about to listen to an excerpt of Secret City Geek Lab broadcast on KTSTFM.com every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. For more news, reviews, and interviews from the world of geek, visit the Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity. Enjoy the show.
Before we started shooting, the only training I did was a 3-day crash course. Really, they're trying to teach me how to get out of problematic situations. It's not necessarily trying to drive as fast as possible. It's just really learning how to, drift around a corner or doing a reverse 180, or if I'm flying at, a bunch of cameramen and just learning how to stop properly to make me not slide into them, but make it look cool doing so. So I did a 3-day stunt, just crash course doing that. I learned how to do 360s and just drifting and stopping at a particular mark, and it was great. Toby Marshall is a hardworking guy. He's an everyman, a man's man. And I think guys want to kind of hang around him and be his friend, and he wants to be friends with everybody else. And he's just a good guy struggling to kind of keep his business afloat. And he loves cars. He lives and breathes cars, and that's his life. His dad started this shop, and sadly he lost his mother and father, and now he holds the reins on keeping this shop alive. And he's worried. He thinks he's going to lose it, and yeah. And so that's this guy. He has the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he's just taking it, one day at a time. He's got a good view on life. He's a gentleman, and he has such a strong presence about him, and he believes that no one should ever be left behind. And you definitely see that in this film, and he abides by those rules. She's just hilarious. She's just a wild child, and we love her. And so, yeah, anytime you get the opportunity to jump in a car with Imogen Poots, you take it. What's so great about this film is it's not just it's definitely a car movie. But it's a throwback to like the 70s classic car culture. When I met with Scott Waugh, our director, he gave me this amazing pitch where, it's a throwback to like the Steve McQueen era. And that got me really excited. That's what first intrigued me about the story. And then he kind of just, dived deeper into how he was going to tell the story in a different way. And it's great because I think car movie buffs deserve something like this. It's not just a flashy car movie. It does have that element to it, but it has an incredible, interesting story behind it.
He wanted this very much to be two partners in crime on their way across America. I just feel that when you're given a script like this, you can't deny that it's about the cars. It's what people want to see. The cars are just as important as the people. And I think I really wanted to get to the bottom of, with him in that discussion, like, what did he want? And he seemed quite free. And I honestly believe by casting Aaron and I already, that was kind of, that's a real choice that he made. I played Julia, who knows a lot about cars. That's something that Toby doesn't necessarily understand at the beginning of the film, but or won't kind of let himself understand. I think he's very keen on maintaining this, it's referred to as strong and silent, this position in the film, and he wants to keep their dynamic very separate. But of course, they're stuck together in this very claustrophobic environment in the car for a very long time across America. Stunts are really cool. There was one specific stunt where Julia climbs out the passenger window and sort of swings around to hit, where the gas pump is, and has to connect the pump to the slot. And yeah, I mean, that was awesome. We were going about 65 miles an hour, and the way that figured out was by practicing the day before with the stunt guys and being in a harness and really taking it step by step and getting to optimum speed for them. And but it's thrilling, and again, once you do it a couple times, then you know what to expect and you can really enjoy it because it's quite exhilarating. A lot of action films now are done with the help of CGI and green screen and they're fantastic, but they're ludicrous in terms of what the actors are doing and the scenarios they're in, whereas all of this is very authentic and they really train to be able to do it in the moment. And it's scary, but these guys they really are daredevils, and they're very, very fearless. So it was really cool to be part of a project where I think they're trying to bring that back again.
We're travelling at speeds of 100 and something, where there are 3 cars in a row, and you're inches from the car in front and inches from the car that's behind. So it's specificity is important, to not get anything wrong, and to feel like you know how to deal with a car with that much power. I mean, they're ridiculous. They're so quick. And Dino is a troubled soul who is extraordinarily competitive, has been in Formula One, didn't succeed, has been given every opportunity in life, comes from a very, very privileged background in opposition to Toby, Aaron Paul's character, who is just very specialised and professional at what he does and is just a good driver, was just instinctively a good driver. And I think that's something that Dino probably always has been envious of. Scott manages to create a very, very special atmosphere on set because there's a lot of guys doing stunts, obviously, in this. We've got a lot of real, live, huge car stunts and crashes that happen. And he knows, I mean, when we were talking about entering a zone, stunt guys, I've never seen anything like it. The atmosphere before you go into a big stunt is incredible. The silence, the concentration, and he does these wonderful speeches at the beginning of the day and to all his crew to make sure everyone knows exactly what's going on. If we were doing these shots in front of a green screen and talking about a certain car that wasn't there, or looking at a huge crash that didn't take place, and if we weren't in the situation of driving a car at 100 and something within a race, even though we've got the camera here, we're still fully focused on what we have to do. And yeah, of course we can pretend to be doing that if we're on the back of a truck, or if we're got a green screen and we know that a good effect's going to be put on afterwards, but you'll never get that sensation. I mean, I'm terrified a lot of the time when I'm driving, and I'm desperate to catch up, to overtake, and I'm annoyed when I get overtaken. Never have I done anything where we would travel so much in such a short space of time around one country, and there are places that I would never have gone to, and I've seen some extraordinary landscape, and the diversity of the landscape in this country always blows me away. The fact that you're in a desert one moment and then skiing down a mountain the next, but we've been to some beautiful, beautiful places that I didn't really know existed. And it's breathtaking because it's real, and you see the dust come off the edge of the track, and you see the the front fin kind of just dipping, and it's all happening, and it's terrifying, and it's fast, and it's exhilarating to see it really unfold on a camera rather than it being generated. I think it's that, and for car films, this is in particular one that should be filmed for real.
Well, think of it this: it was George, Gatins and John Gatins who came in with the story and the screenplay to DreamWorks, and they had done a wonderful job in finding a story that could either live in the slipstream of the Need for Speed video game franchise, and at the same time live totally outside of that as a real legitimate story. And so that was the first thing that really impressed us. Well, the thing with Aaron is he just, for one thing, he has this focused intensity that was perfect for this character of Toby, and the other thing is not just because he was on a hit television series where he acquitted himself wonderfully over the years, but he just has a remarkable screen presence, and it's difficult to find. There's a lot of great actors and actresses, but it's very, very hard to find people who have a natural ability to, without saying a word of dialogue, just by existing inside a frame, that they can convey so much. And Aaron's got that mojo. Well, Scott came in with an idea and a vision to do Need for Speed without a lot of CGI, because it's very easy today to do cars and explosions and crashes and things, all in the computer. Scott wanted to do as much as he practically could do that was safe, and he came and made that presentation to us, and it just harkened me back to the chase in Bullet, and the great car chase in Bullet, and the great car chase in The French Connection. And if he could take that genre, and with real cars going pretty fast but safely, could he do that in a contemporary movie without falling back on the computer? And he did. He absolutely did it.
Aaron is so accessible and giving, and it's so nice. It's so nice to work with actors who get that, who want to work with you and want to accept what you're giving them and then give it back to you. And Dominic is the same. I mean, it's fun to watch them work. It's fun to work with them. I know people that similar things have happened to, but I tried to make her a bit different. I feel like she's a character that could easily be, seen as just stupid and kind of shallow, but that's not how I saw it at all. I think it's different. I think it's cool to have a really sad character in a race car movie. They're wonderful dudes. They are wonderful dudes. I would like to adopt all of them as my siblings.
Little Pete is one of Toby's really, really good friends, and Toby used to date Anita, who's Pete's sister. And so since Anita and Toby broke up, Toby's been looking after Little Pete, and he's sort of Toby's protege, if you will. He's raising him to be another great driver and to also do more duties around the shop. And he's the kind of guy that's going to spend his whole life working in the garage. All of us guys spend time together off set once we got here, and we'll go out together or hang out at the hotel, and it's just that you got to have that gel between all the guys, otherwise it doesn't work, like a natural human thing. And so it was good. Aaron and I went and got pizza the first night, and got to know each other better and build that kind of relationship. Dom's one of the sweetest people, for starters. When I first met him, he gave me one of the warmest handshakes I've ever had. And he's a lot of fun to hang out with. And so it has been tough. But he's also, you know, when he's on set, he still jokes around and stuff, but he's focused. I'm really fascinated by the way Aaron works, because I mean, I feel like there are two kind of actors. There are the actors who visualize and plan and then try to do the same thing again and again and again and try to find that kind of median. And then there are the actors who can just do a different take every time, and Aaron's one of those guys. So it's really interesting because every take he does something different, and there are moments that are really you couldn't get if you'd planned them, you know, because he changes the way that he says lines all the time, or he'll put different inflections on different words, and so it's interesting to watch.
Flying in the plane, in the Cessna, and the helicopters has been an intense experience. I can't say before this film I thought about getting in the Cessna, because I didn't. You know what I mean? I've been in some small planes before, but this was different for me. And Scott made me really comfortable, you know? We went up for like 30 minutes before lunch, took lunch, and then shot it for real after lunch. There was really no time to really, you know, be too scared about it. We just went right in. And, you know, I trust Scott. I trust Rick, who was the pilot, you know, with us, and it was all right. It wasn't as nerve-wracking as I thought. First time out was intense, but after that, I got a hang of it, and now I'm kind of a pro. He's in the Army Reserves, and he's also one of the members of Toby's crew at Marshall Motors. He details cars. So I like to think that, like, when he's in the garage, it's like his getaway. It's like his hangout spot, you know, and they're all a little family. And you know, he plays his position, and he also livens up the group. Scott saw a bunch of my videos and stuff online, and he's got a glimpse of my goofy side. You know, even my fans, they know that I have this side, and I very rarely get a chance to showcase it. And, you know, Scott told me, he was like, just have fun with it. And for me, that's all I really needed to hear, you know, and from that point on, I just kind of like knew the energy that I wanted Benny to have, the tone, and I definitely wanted him to switch gears when he needed to. I didn't want him to be like this goofy knucklehead the whole time. You know, I definitely wanted him to have his moments and pick them wisely. It's unique, and I know it's rare in the movie business when you book a film and you get involved with the cast and everybody's getting along. And I just feel so lucky to be around such a great group of guys and young ladies, you know, and everybody's so professional, and I've been learning from everybody, you know. It's really dope. I mean, I met Aaron and Ramon first. We went out to dinner with Scott, and we hit it off, and I actually met Aaron at a party, and I approached him. It was a couple days after I got the part, and I approached him. I was like, hey, I'm Benny. He was like, oh, man. And then that was the first time we met. So we had some time to kind of, you know, get familiar with one another, me and Aaron, and then me and Ramon. But I met Rami on the first day. We hit it off. Harrison, same thing, hit it off. I met his dad. And Dakota and Imogen, we all have mutual friends. So it's dope, man. Aaron's character, Toby Marshall, goes to jail for being wrongly accused of murder. And he gets out, and there's only one thing on his mind, and that's revenge. And, you know, the crew comes to his aid, and we support him, and we all get behind him, and it's really just this race against time to get from point A to point B. And there's so much that goes on in between point A and point B. We've all seen our fair share of race car movies, but just the aesthetic and how Scott shot it, and it's crazy. I'm really proud of it. I'm proud to be a part of this project. You know, I know people are gonna love it, and I know this is gonna go to distance. There's gonna be more Need for Speeds. You know, these characters, people are gonna fall in love with them. Everybody's been on their A game, and that's dope. I love it. Like I'm learning from that subconsciously. I'm not thinking about it, but you know, it's like birds of a feather. Like, oh, these guys are actually focused and paying attention. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to goof off and, you know, get sidetracked. Yeah, I think it is an action movie, but it's character driven. You know, everybody has, you know, their story, and everybody, it's not just these people in the movie and then it's all about these cars. So I really want people to kind of connect with that family between Toby and Finn and Joe Peck and Benny and Little Pete, because, you know, like, this is the movie. The next Need for Speed will be this crew, you know what I mean? So that's what I want. I want people to love us so they can come see us again in the sequel.
I've had the pleasure and privilege of doing some stunts on previous projects, so I really wanted to get dirty on this one, and Scott had actually been my stuntman. Scott Waugh had been my stunt double in a TV show way back when. I saw him at the audition. I was like, I know you. I know you. You were my stuntman on the show. So now it's my turn to repay the favor and do some of my own stunt work here, which he's letting me do. Scott Mescudi plays a pilot in this film. They're making him get up in the plane, took flight lessons, and so everything appears realistic. On any other movie, you'd just do that on a green screen. We could have got a lot of this done today, this hot fueling shot on a green screen, but Scott's not up for that, and we aren't either. It's pretty unusual and exceptional, and I think that will really read. You know, my life looks like it's at risk in this shot, which I guess looking back on it, it was. The night I met Aaron Paul, I had just found out that I got cast in the film. So I had seen him at a bar, and we both kind of locked eyes, and I think Scott had just told him who I was playing. So he's like, hey, you're... And I was like, you're... And then soon enough, we were having a drink together, and that's the way it's been so far. We've just clicked. He's extremely genuine. I didn't know what to expect, because all I've seen him as is a meth head most for the last 3 years. So I didn't know how far he took that role, but he's definitely not that. But I've enjoyed spending all the time that I've had with him. He's incredibly gracious. He's really sweet. He's sweet to everybody around him. I think that our whole sense of doing something out of seeking justice and doing the right thing makes it all worthwhile. And I think that's one thing people can take away from it, is that we're a fun-loving bunch of crazy young men who are seeking out, you know, a deliverance of some settlement of justice and morality. And I hope that's what young men take away from this. We're not smoking. We wear our seatbelts in the car. Trying to do our best here.
The beast is huge, and it's, you know, properly named the beast because it's a monster, and it's tricky to drive. You know, it took a little bit to get used to its size. It's really high, it's wide, it's long, it's like a big boat. But you know, once I got the hang of it, it was fine, and I got very comfortable. I'm glad they gave me some time to just be behind the wheel and spend some alone time with the beast just to get used to it. Joe Peck is a, you know, in a lot of ways, he's kind of the mix of a trucker and a grease monkey. He's a big-time mechanic, and he lives for that. You know, he just lives to build engines and to work on cars. It's what his life is. It's all he knows. It's fun when you get a good group of guys together and we all get along, and you can, you know, you sense the chemistry without spending a lot of time. It's got to feel like we've known each other probably since childhood growing up, and we've had to recreate that feeling, that vibe, that energy. That we can say anything to each other. It's not, we don't get hurt. We're not sensitive, but that there's this real camaraderie between each other. So luckily, we do all get along. We hung out. We went out a couple nights, went to, you know, to eat together and have fun, and that kind of layered in some of the history, which was cool. Scott's definitely pushing us to, you know, everybody. I think we've all done some pretty cool stunts on our own, which I'm sure, you know, Aaron, myself, and Rami, and even Benny. I mean, Benny's, you know, Scott's actually flying a Cessna. I was completely surprised at that. I didn't think they would ever have him up there actually flying the plane. He's flying the plane, he was freaking out, and he did it. I mean, people are overcoming fears. You know, they're doing stuff they've never done, but we all feel really safe about it. You know, if you don't feel cool, you let Scott know, say no problem. But for the most part, we've all been, you know, crushing it.
Scotty's style is let's kind of work backwards a little bit. Let's not have words that we have to that now go and find a location that match those words. Let's go find a location where we can do what we want and kind of create and design the action that will work best for that particular environment that still tells the same story that the words were portrayed as. That was part of Scott's philosophy too, was he wanted to do it real time. You know, when he watched his dailies, he wanted to see the daily. He wanted to see what he got, what's going to be in the movie, what's going to make the movie. And you know, and so for me that's a challenge also, because so many people embrace the CG world and it becomes like it's easy, you know, because it is easy. You know, you maybe build a little green box and a little of this and a little of that, and the next thing you know, you have this whole synthetic environment that means nothing. And I believe that there's so much of that out there nowadays that you can definitely see the difference. Another goal that Scotty had was, you know, this is, you know, it's an action movie and it's a car racing, driving, hard driving movie. And, you know, we want our actors to drive. You know, we don't want to do the Hollywood cheats and, you know, put them on process trailers and all of that. But granted, you still have to at times to get dialogue or to get certain things. But Scotty's goal was to really put the actors behind the wheel in as many opportunities as he can, so we can really let the audience truly understand and believe that Aaron Paul, Dominic Cooper, you know, we're driving these cars.
You can do anything CGI, and especially coming from a video game company, you would think they'd be completely used to artificially making the stunts happen. But thankfully, working with Scott, it's not like that. He tries to get everything for real. He tries to get the smoke from the tires even for real. And that's so gratifying as a driver because, I mean, it's hard to describe, but this is what I do. When I watch cars on screen, I analyze it. We've got a little club called the Slide Snobs. We basically analyze any slide you see on TV or on movies, and I like to know that it's for real. So it's great to be a part of a movie that's shooting everything it possibly can in real life. You have a car that's really fast, 400, 500 horsepower car, right? It's still the real fast car, but you have a cage mounted on the roof. And so it's like strapping yourself into the ski rack of a sports car and driving around with that. And then take into account that the steering is hydraulic. So it's, you know, you don't just hold the steering wheel to go around a corner. You have to just kind of keep adding steering in, and the steering is never straight. That's just part of the beast when it comes to hydraulic steering. And you're going door to door with a bunch of other cars at 100 miles an hour, and you have an actor inside there that would be really bad to get them in an accident. So there's a lot of pressure in the pod car that makes it a pretty challenging thing. I've had Aaron as a passenger at, you know, close to 100 miles an hour. And I mean, obviously no need to do 200 miles an hour to look fast in a film, but 100 looks insanely quick, and the energy of everything happening at 100 is amazing. So it's very cool, and he got out of it. I thought he might be a little green. I would be sick as a dog if I rode in that thing for more than 10 seconds, and he was absolutely fine.
Really showing the performance of the Shelby Mustang. I mean, for me, it was a blast because I really got to learn the car. I got to push it harder and harder, and everybody kind of warmed up. We don't have any underground racing going on. I think we're getting a lot of kicks out of doing movie stunts and car commercials where you really get to push the limits and really using your skills and creating pretty much art with cars. You work with directors and they tell you what they want, and it's really cool. I mean, you're really doing things that you don't normally would do, because it's all about making it look good for the camera. I saw Aaron driving earlier today, and I would say surprising. He did really surprising well. Maybe he's been doing some track days himself. Who knows? I haven't asked him that yet, but he went through some alleys here, reverse, and pushed it actually very hard, and did really good. So he did a good share of the job today, and I think I got to take care of the big actions, which was awesome for me.
The theatrical experience is supposed to be a place you go and escape, but I also think it's a place that we go to identify with. And for myself, I really like to go back to realism and really not have any CG in my films. And I think Cars and this type of movie is I think the world is thriving for another car movie, like a true car movie, a Bullet, a French Connection, a Ronin, a Grand Prix, like a real car movie. For myself, authenticity is all about realism and doing everything in camera. And the wrecks that you're gonna see and the speeds that we travel, and it's all in camera. And I think, you get to experience the thrill of this film at miles per hour that most people don't, because we are very rarely can we go this fast. And we really wanted to find that character and then find that actor, and we struggled for many months. And it was really the first one that's why when I saw Aaron Paul, I was just like, there's this guy. There's the young Steve McQueen. Like, he's that guy. And he's so talented as an actor. Steven was really all about the authenticity with me. When we sat down in that meeting, prior to me even coming aboard, we just really jived on that. Just, the old school movies and the in-camera approach and the honesty in the characters. And I think, he's such a wonderful storyteller and such a great mentor of mine that, we really bounce those things off of each other. I was more intrigued by her talent than her beauty. And that was really important to me. And I really felt like, her chemistry with Aaron was going to be great. And I think she's a woman that is, she's a modern day Audrey Hepburn. She really is. I honestly casted him for his talent, not knowing who he was. And I think it gave him and I more confidence in himself, because I wasn't so caught up or enthralled with, oh my God, it's Kid Cudi the rapper. I was like, no, that's Scott Mescudi, the funny guy that's really charismatic on screen. They really became the Marshall Motors band. They did everything together. And certain days, it was funny, certain days when I wasn't using them, they would all get together and go to see concerts. They took pictures. One day we were working nights, and in the morning they're all in the jacuzzi at the bar, at the hotel. I'm just like, they really, like, they could not be together. The Dino character in the movie goes through he's truly the pinnacle of somebody that will go beyond his morality and integrity. And he really defines that in the movie. And, Dominic Cooper definitely harnesses that. We always see these cars and we go, man, I wish I could just drive that fast. Even if it's your own car, I want to just open it up. We don't get that chance. We don't have an Autobahn. We want to open it up, and movies allow us to, open it up. And I know what we really strive for in the film was the chance to open it up and for you to actually sit in the seat and open it up. So not to be a spectator and watch, but to participate in the film and drive. The film's really about a team of guys that are, represented by Marshall Motors, and they go through a travesty in the group, and they have to revenge the things that were done wrong to them. And they have to drive from New York to San Francisco in 48 hours and get there to, seek their revenge. And through that course of action, all the characters, test themselves. And how far will they push themselves against their morality and integrity to seek this revenge. Toby Marshall is this blue-collar kid that comes from a family that owned Marshall Motors. And his mother and father at the beginning have passed away, and he's left with the shop and the burdens of the shop. And it's been in the family since 1974. And he's trying everything he can do to keep it open. And his band of friends all work at the shop now and are really there to support the shop, but also to support their racing habits. And they get tied into Dino, who comes back in, who's an IndyCar racer that came from Mount Kisco, and he gives them a business proposition to help them with the shop. I think the spirit of this movie really lends to one line in the movie. You always go back, and you never leave a man behind. It applies in warfare, it applies in life, and it really applies in car racing, especially in places that you're out remotely. And you always go back if somebody's down. And it's a morality and integrity thing that's involved in our culture that is applicable to every aspect of life.
This was a production of Secret City Geek Lab on KTSTFM.com. We broadcast every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Visit the Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity.